Alright, shalom, double honors to the apostles of GMS, and honors to you brothers that be pushing this truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. I wanted to just get into some scriptures, but this article is of particular note to some of the points that the elders have pushed in the past, and certainly have taught the younger men, right on down to myself even. I've tried to always push the fact that Nato was going to be using Ukraine as a means of getting into Russia, or certainly at the precipice of Russian borders, ergo going out into an all-out assault between NATO, which is led by America, which America uses as a military force within different countries, as a means of going back into the scripture in Revelations, the 18th chapter, and Revelation specifically, where it talks about her cup, and how she's going to pour it out throughout the four corners of the earth. Some of that democracy and the policies that the so-called United States push, they use NATO as a means of pushing it, whether it be vaccines, and like I said before, democracy. So they might have a dictator, like you had Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, right? And this time, you know, it's the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, right? When NATO, spearheaded by the Americans, right, is used as a means of destabilizing those particular regions, all right? And the point essentially that I'm proving, as it were, is the fact that we've been saying this for a long time, that he was going to have an all-out assault between the Russians and the Americans. And we said NATO was going to play a key part in using the Ukraine, right, to advance towards Russian borders, like the head title says. All right. So I'm not gonna go into it too tough. I'm really using this article as a means of staying circumspect and pushing the agenda of staying circumspect out there. All right, and really what I wanted to get into is some scriptures on the destruction of America, because that's what we look forward to. That is our gospel, right? That's what we dream about. All right, that's why we invest so much time in this truth, because with the destruction of America, it's going to come about the kingdom, and the kingdom of the Negroes, Hispanics, Native American, the kingdom of Israel, right, as it's known in the scriptures. All right. So it says NATO is using Ukraine crisis to advance towards Russian borders. Defense ministry, right? That's what the defense ministry said. It says NATO is using the situation in Ukraine to push closer, all right, to Russian borders, Russia's borders, all right. And we've been telling you this for the longest time, man. All right, they use these pseudo little countries. Really, when you get into it, they set up they probably set up the crisis within Ukraine. Going into the history of Ukraine, all right, it was always caught between the so-called world, which is Eurasia, Europe, also known as the EU, right, or the old Soviet ways, man, right, and it had a so-called identity crisis, to where half the people, you know, some of the people wanted to follow the European, so-called European way of life, and some of them wanted to go back to the so-called Soviets, man, the Soviet ways. All right, but really, man, when we talk about the actual the chaos that's going up there, man, all right, all of the artillery and all of the means of causing devastation and destruction, right? You know, when you follow the leads up, it all goes back to them Americans, man. The double agents, man, right, that can always be found on both sides of the field, man. Like, you got this thing that's also going to be popping off within Iran, all right, where, you know, the so-called American media plays Israel off as almost like the bad guy, all right, and they're always the good guy, but ultimately they're working for the same agenda which is to roll up into Iran. All right, but the Americans wants to play the foot of plausible deniability, man. And that's how they roll, man. It's just the devil. The devil plays both sides of the field, man, deceiving everybody, man. All right. And he says there, man. He says the alliance activities have expanded considerably over the past years. It says in their push, Anatoly and Antonov says allied forces are ignoring diplomacy. It says we've noticed that NATO member states are using the situation in southeastern Ukraine as a pretext to discard all diplomatic convention, right, tricks and slogans and push forward closer to Russian borders. All right, and as a result of them pushing forward to Russian borders, the Russian military is gonna amp up, right? Which I won't be surprised if, if the next video I do is on the Russian military amping up and all of that. But like I said, this was just I was just gonna use that article as a means of staying circumspect. Really, I wanted to get into the book of Ezekiel, the 35th chapter, and I'm gonna read it out here in the background, just real quick. All right, talking about the future of America and those that are joined hand in hand with her. So it says, this is Ezekiel, the 35th chapter. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir. We go into the history. That was one of the the chief cities of Esau in the land of Edom, right, and prophesy against it. Right, so that's the instructions that Yahweh Hashem Yahushua has given us. Right, from the beginning of the scriptures right up until the end, we were supposed to be prophesying, right? And when you go into the book of Ecclesiasticus, it tells you, right, here's the conclusion of the whole matter: fear the Most High and keep His commandments. And here He's telling you, man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it, right? Not teaching some doctrine about black power. You ain't gonna get no power when Esau's is in power, man. Right? There's only one ruler. That's why it's called a kingdom, man. A domicile of the kings, right? And to be one of those kings, you gotta have kingship. In other words, to be a descendant of them so-called Jews, man, which are the illegitimate rulers of this world, of this kingdom, of the world right now. And that's why they use deceptive means to control the public. But when the real rulers come into power, the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, when we get into our rightful place, all right, starting first and foremost, when he gets his glory, we're gonna get our glory. He's gonna distribute the glory up unto the elect as he sees fit, right? Right. But the point I wanted to make there was that the fact that you're gonna see what we're doing, man. We're not gonna be hidden behind closets and back doors and pretty much as if we didn't exist, man. If you fuck up, all right, of which most of you heathens gonna buck up against your own tree, you're gonna be put, you're gonna be put in line, man. All right. So it says, prophesy against it and say unto it, thus saith the Lord power. Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee. All right, and when you go into Malachi, the 1st chapter, it's the nation against whom the Most High has indignation forever. All right, it says, I will stretch out mine hand against thee, and I'll make thee most desolate. So that's what's coming to the chief place of Esau, man. America and England, all of that, man. The Most High is going to make it most desolate. All right, he says, and I'll lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate. All right, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord. Right, and when you read all of the precepts that are upon it, man, like the book of 2 Peter's, the 3rd chapter and the 12th verse on down, man, and you read how the Most High is going to melt the elements, man, right, and He's going to have it to where no brick is going to be left up on another, man. It's going to be a beautiful and heavy thing, man, and Lord's will, all right, I'll be on the right side of that, all right. Lord's will be, the elect men are going to be preserved, of which the scripture says the elect men is going to be preserved anyway, man. Yeah, but the prophet said it best, man. When he saw the vision, he said, man, in your wrath, remember mercy. All right, because that's how the Lord's going to be coming back. It's going to be like, damn, has He even got a merciful side, man? All right. It says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity in the time that their iniquity had an end. So we had served our hardcore bondage, but Esau saw it fit that we serve even more, man. All right, that we had to endure much more bloodshed and calamity, like the scripture says here. All right, therefore the Most High is gonna have it to where, you're gonna catch all kind of hell, man. All right, matter of fact, when you go into the scriptures in Job the 28th chapter, man, you're gonna be bound and burnt, man. Esau, you Edomites, man. All right, you're gonna be completely wiped off the face of the earth. All right. Right. It says, therefore, as I live, saith the Lord, which is like he's basically saying this is a promise, man. I will prepare blood unto thee, and blood shall pursue thee. All right. Saith thou, I hateth not blood, even so blood shall pursue thee. Right. When you go into Revelation 13th chapter, on the 9th verse, it talks about. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Just like you've been killing these different nations, right? Which are our subjects. That's our property. These different heathen nations they are our property, man. Right? Just sort of like you've been shedding blood like that, man. And not only just them heathen nations, because really the scripture says the nations are as a drop of a bucket. Right? Look at the nation of Edom, man. These innumerable amount, Ham and all of that. Right? The Moabites, Ammonites and all of that. The Most High sees them as an insignificant thing. They really don't matter. What the apple of his eye is, going back into Zechariah, the 2nd chapter, possibly the 8th verse, if I remember it properly. All right, it says the scripture says that the apple of the Most High's eye, right, is Israel. So you touch the Lord's people, and not only that, you had a perpetual hatred against them. Therefore, you're going to receive the judgments in due course. As a direct result of that hatred and that bloodshed. All right. So it says here, thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out, and him that returneth, and I will fill his mountains with slain men. All right. So your government is going to be filled with slain men. All right. And it says, in the hills and in the valleys and in the rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword. And I'll make thee perpetual desolations, and thy city shall not return. All right, and that links up real nice with Malachi the 1st chapter and the 4th verse. Like I said, man, he said the Most High had put it in their spirit to where they was gonna build, but the Most High had it to where you got all kind of buildings popping up all over the place, but the Most High said that they're gonna build, but I was gonna destroy. All right, it says, and thy city shall not return. And ye shall know that I am the Lord, because thou hast said that these two nations, these two countries shall be mine, and we shall possess them, whereas the Lord was there. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord, the Most High, the power, right, I will even do according to thine anger, and according to thine envy, which thou hast used out of thy hatred against them, and I'll make them known, right, amongst them, when I have judged thee. All right, and I'll just finish up because it pretty much the point's been hit, but I'll just finish it up. All right, this is the 12th verse, and it says, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord, and that I have heard all the blasphemies which thou hast spoken against the mountains of Israel, saying, they are laid desolate, they are given unto us to consume. Because man, Esau's done, he's consumed us, man. Right, the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, he's utterly consumed us on a fleshly basis. All right, on a mental basis, he's destroyed the whole house, right, the structure within the household, man. Right, which is one of the main things. So now we're in a perpetual state of destroying ourselves, right? Because the household has been destabilized. All right, it goes on to say, man, thus with your mouth ye have boasted against me, and have multiplied your words against me, and I have heard them. Because Esau really wants to, he goes, like the scripture says, man, he esteemeth himself like the Most High, man. It says, thus saith the Lord power, when the whole earth rejoices, I will make thee desolate. Right? And when the whole earth rejoicing, really, it's only going to be, Israel rejoicing. But when we really go into understanding, once those nations have have had their hardcore 1,000 years of slavery, they're gonna be in a state of doing right, because they had their hardcore state of slavery, man. So they're gonna be all right, man. They're gonna get their own little portion, right? They're still gonna be our slaves, right? We're still gonna rule over them, but they're gonna get their little thing here and there, man. All right, and they're gonna look at Esau and say, man, this is notwithstanding after 1,000 years, they're gonna be bound and burnt, but they're gonna be like, this is the man that made the whole earth to tremble, man. All right, and the earth itself, man, going on to the the trees and that, they're gonna be like, since thou art cut down, right? No fellow has come up to chop us down, man. Then that's the trees, man. All right. So this man was made for the purposes of destruction, because by destruction as he lived. All right. And it says, and thou didst rejoice at the inheritance of the house of Israel, because it was desolate, and so do I unto thee. Thou shalt be desolate on Mount Seir and all Idumea, right? Even all of it. And they shall know that I am the Lord. All right. So that's the precept I just wanted to get into there. All right. And pretty much that I'm gonna say, double honors to the apostles of GMS. Honors to you brothers that be pushing this truth in sincerity. Shalom.